Hello everyone, I'm Christina, and today I have an update for you. It's been a while since we've talked about the issues with the magnetosphere and how that affects Earth and how that affects everyone else.
Hey guys, welcome to Christina. My name is Radiofrequency with Plant-Based Homestead Prepper. When you leave Christina, come check us out. We talk about the food shortage, we talk about prepping on a budget. Back to Christina, and make sure you subscribe.
If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do that now. Then after this video, come on by Grim Survival, where I will show you the grim side of survival, including actual footage of how poorly the 2019 harvest season has gone. Link in the description.
So today we are going to discuss planetary magnetosphere anomalies, okay? We're going to start with the basics, okay? So towards the end of the video, when I start discussing the science of it, if you want to stop the video, then you can. If you want to hear it, you can just keep going. It's all right. But we're going to start with the basics, and we're going to start with what it is that we are seeing now, okay? We basically figured out as a society, yes, that we are experiencing not just problems with the magnetosphere and the solar winds coming through, but we're also experiencing magnetic pole reversals, okay, big time. In fact, an article came out recently that the Bermuda Triangle is moving 1,000 miles west into the American East Coast, okay? And what's weird about that is that I had this really crazy dream about this headline about a certain actor crashing, dying in a plane crash, piloting his own plane, all right? It happens to live in Florida. And with the Bermuda Triangle moving that way, I was like, wow, there is a connection there to me, but there are a lot of plane crashes happening, okay? So that should continue to get worse, okay? So you might want to watch where these magnetic anomalies are. And I made a certain video about a certain anomaly once in the ocean that YouTube really didn't like, so I'm not going to mention that, but you need to kind of pay attention to where these anomalies are, especially if you're flying, okay? We talked about the fact there'd be a lot of grid issues because we have a magnetic universe, okay? We have a magnetic solar system. We operate off of electromagnetics also. You know, that's what neurology is all about, okay? Down to the smallest molecule to the biggest thing there is, okay? It's all connected with electromagnetics and frequency. That's just a fact, okay? But all of that is important. It's related to what is happening and what is going to continue to happen, all right? So what we've been seeing is right away we had a storm on Halloween. I thought that was funny because we're having another holiday, and here comes another storm for Thanksgiving from the west to the east coast, and it'll be raining here in Texas Wednesday and Thursday for sure, and that's by memory. They're worried about the parade. I'm assuming that's the Macy's Day Parade in New York, and for good reason. Somebody said something about 40-mile-per-hour winds, which, you know, is not going to work for floats. Also, Poland was reported to have had 124-mile-per-hour winds recently. And see, again, these winds, these extreme winds, these crazy storms, droughts in an area right next to flooding, storms getting worse. The solar winds will cause bacteria and viruses and diseases to mutate and become untreatable medically, which is already happening. Okay, and also you're going to see geological changes. Now, for example, I've discussed in the past that I'm noticing things happening under Houston that are troubling. Even in Galveston with the clear blue water, all right? That something just isn't right under Houston, the whole city, okay? And recently we had a report of the Kingwood River turning milky white. And what it was is that there was like a sand mine that had been infiltrated by water. Well, another thing, okay, you got to think about what is under Houston. Okay, we've got pockets of gas and oil, sand and salt and shell. Okay, so if these pockets become infiltrated with water, you'll see clear blue water out in Galveston, but that means that there's a space there that was filled before. All right, then you look into west downtown Houston. They're getting the gases that they've been smelling for the last few years, just really odd gases, and we're seeing sinkholes from the west to the east side of Harris County. And now up north, this river, see, San Jacinto River goes all the way down towards Galveston, okay? And in Kingwood, it's more of like the northeast side, high up is where the San Jacinto is, up there, okay? It's the higher north side, though, that this happened, which tells me that there's still more instability happening around the Houston area, okay? All right, and that's just what we're noticing. We've been noticing a lot of lightning storms, okay? And I want you to be aware that as this progresses, you might even get struck by lightning on a clear day. I'm not kidding you, okay? Italy is also showing signs, okay? Because water levels are going to start kind of changing, okay? In some areas it'll retreat, in some areas it will rise, okay? In Italy, they're saying that this is, the residents are saying they've had flooding before, but this is different. This is very, very different, okay? Australia, that is a country all by itself that we're seeing so many problems. It's almost like there's a magnifying glass over that country right now. In that continent, they've had cyclones, fires, dead birds in Sydney recently, okay? And the crop losses, and it's just been hammering them really bad for the last 3 years, thing after thing after thing after thing, especially in Christchurch, okay? I've noticed that area has really gotten hit a lot. Okay, and the physical signs that you were noticing before, I know a lot of you felt a tingling on your skin, right? When you were in the sun, it was almost like being in a microwave, right? Okay. We're noticing that the birds are getting confused, running into buildings, and some of that might be the glass. But what you have to realize, okay, is that with these solar winds, it lets off a frequency, okay? And there was an article recently, okay? You need to hear this. On November 19th, the Daily Mail came out with an article titled Earth Song, European Space Agency captures the sound of our planet singing in eerie tune as solar storms batter its magnetic field. All right? And we all know that this is what's happening. We know that our magnetosphere is also weak right now. So more is getting through. That's why a lot of these volcanoes were going off, because there was more pressure from the core. Anyway, but what you might not read into this is the key word here, frequency. Okay, everything on Earth, and from the smallest thing to the biggest thing, it's all run on frequency. And if the frequency is wrong, it can kill insects, it can kill certain animals, it can kill humans also. Okay. So if we're getting battered with solar winds, then we could be having a die-off, okay, of any kind, all right? And it can cause confusion. So you have to ask yourself, what are the symptoms that I will be seeing for myself, okay? And to answer that, I wanted to start again really, really basic, okay? There was a PDF file that I found on the internet from 1995, 1996, okay? And it was titled as a case report, Effects of Exposure to Very High Frequency Radiofrequency Radiation on 6 Antenna Engineers in 2 Separate Incidents. And what they were talking about was antennas, radio frequency, UHF, and VHF. And what they experienced was symptoms of headache, tingling in the extremities, diarrhea, malaise, I think is sickness, and lassitude is, I think, like lethargy, like exhaustion, you just run down. And that was from being in contact with these antennas. And again, these aren't even 5G, okay? They were having really, really bad problems. This one guy's eye wandered. They were suffering fatigue and headache, okay? But there were other suggested symptoms. And what I was able to come up with in my research was that you would experience headache, higher anxiety, cancer will go up because of the solar winds coming through. Obviously, it's a radiation, it really is, and that magnetosphere is supposed to protect you from that, but it's not. Okay, we're not being spared that, so cancer is going to rise, and Mike from around the world had touched on that, okay? But he couldn't really say a whole lot. But with the changes in frequency, it can affect humans in such a way that that anxiety can take us to a point socially of civil unrest. And as the situation continues to build, as it continues with the solar winds and the magnetosphere, and then you will see more violence, more rioting, okay? And that's on top of the crop losses that you're going to be feeling, okay? So you're going to have, along with that anxiety rising, you're going to have problems with heart attacks, sudden cardiac arrest, and something that is being reported, ringing in the ears, okay? So if you're feeling irritable and anxious, then there might be some solar winds coming through. And as a matter of fact, Mike from around the world was saying recently that with like late November, December, that we would start seeing these winds start coming in, okay? Again. So be sure to look for those symptoms, feeling that burning, but the headaches, the fatigue, that's going to be a real, you might even, the ringing in the ears, you might feel a little sick to your stomach, okay? It's just, you don't know why. And that your sleep, you won't really be sleeping that well either. And if you can imagine, if you're not sleeping that well, then you're not going to function well the next day. It's like having a hangover. Now imagine if the next night you didn't get sleep, and the night after that you didn't get sleep, and the night after that you didn't get sleep, and it went on for weeks, months, okay? Your general health, your general mental health will begin to decline. Your temper is going to become shorter and shorter, okay? So you're going to have to really work to maintain a positive attitude. Things that you'll see on the earth that you should start seeing in the future, if you're not starting to see them already, okay? Some of these you probably have. You'll see more earth rips. But I wanted to tell you, at some point, the pressure is going to subside. And what we're going to see is what I've talked about in the past is a recoil. And that is when a lot of shaking should happen then, okay? Because you've got the squeeze, this pressure, and then the release, okay? That's going to really be bad. And I'm not sure exactly when that release is going to happen, but I do know that as things should progress, that the auroras would come in. I mean, you've got this charged atmosphere, okay? But not only that, but any time, and including it could be right now, that we have reached the bottom of the solar minimum, and right about now, we're supposed to start moving into the next solar maximum. And of course, things progress over the years, so it's not like, oh, and then we're here, it's, but it will cause those auroras, and they will be further south than they should be, like Florida, okay, things like that. And I mean, with Bermuda having problems, it just really does make a lot of sense. And Florida is having a lot of problems with that red algae. A lot of die-offs happening there, okay? And so we do know the magnetics are off there. Man, I hope they don't take this YouTube video down. They could, okay? The way they talk about radio waves. Waves are frequency. It's frequency converted into audible sound, all right? So that you can hear it. So even our atmosphere is singing. The earth has trumpet noises, okay? The craziest thing about it, and I don't know how many's going to be ready to hear this, is that what is happening is that it can distort, warp time. Now that sounds really wild and maybe even crazy, but really, 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 it's not. It's not, okay? It's about bending the light, and you do that with electromagnetics and frequency, all right? And if we have a force in our solar system that is warping it, okay, it's affecting space, therefore it is affecting time, okay? And with a black hole, when you're inside of it, it's like time slows down when you're speeding up. But in this case, because we have a force coming at us, it might start appearing that time is speeding up. Like hours might feel like minutes. Like, okay. But what I mean by that is warping of time. The way that I'm thinking, okay, and this is a theory that I'm thinking, but even if it's wild, I've got to show it to you anyway. All right. All right. Trusty chalkboard time. All right. Okay. We talked about the tesseract, right? The cube. Okay. That's the tesseract. And I'm just kind of, okay. And then we talked about the light that's inside of it. All right. Well, this is also, there's another theory called the block universe. Okay. Now, what if you could line up all of these block universes on a bookshelf? Okay. All right. And we would call these parallel universes. All right. Now, if we had something big enough, strong enough, and magnetic enough to warp the fabric of space, would warp the fabric of time, warp that prism, okay, then theoretically, these arms could touch and go back and forth, and we would be able to see certain, like a prism, other possibilities, okay? And we could transfer back and forth certain things from each one, okay? If we were able to move them, if we can imagine them like strands of hair, you know, and they could be moved, okay? And then you think about the Mandela Effect. So theoretically, it's scientifically possible that the force that is causing all of this could also cause distortions in our perception of reality and actually distort our physical reality. Okay, so when the Bible talks about strange sights, that really starts making a lot of sense, but it can also mean that it's opening doors, gates, vortexes, like gates of hell. Okay, things come out of the gates of hell Bible according to the Bible, I mean, it just actually makes more and more sense. So theoretically, whatever is causing our solar system to warp, whatever this magnetic force is, could also cause not just our perception of things, but it can cause physical ailments, even death, and mass die-offs of all different species. And it will unbelievably cause civil unrest, which means rioting, which means lots of problems. And we're actually seeing those, but they should get worse. And the crop losses should get worse, because it's all going to lead up to that shaking, that great shaking. And it's going to happen. It's even biblical. But you see just the pressure building around the earth. If you pay attention, you see the extreme events going on. They're more and more. You should also see more landslides. All right, everything's just under immense pressure. So if I were you, I would just really try to take time to unplug, to really take it down, try to keep yourself as calm as possible. Because even if you're young, if this thing can cause cardiac issues, and cardiac issues can happen in people that don't even have heart disease, it can happen in people that are young, then you might want to just be aware. And especially if your family seems like more irritable, or if you're seeing on the news more and more and more upheaval in city after city, then you'll know why. All right. Well, better end it here. I definitely think that's enough for now. Love you guys. God bless you all. Bye.